tell you, say you can never be the one. God say, make I tell you, say now you him choose. In 1 month, in 1 week, you will sing a new song. In 2 days, less than that, you will hear. Congratulations, you're in the glory of God. Congratulations, He has done it for you, and you will come back with a new song to sing. God is good. Yes, you will come again with a new song of praise. God is good. Oh, congratulations, congratulations, congratulations. Say what the Lord has done for you. Congratulations. God is good. Them say that I can never be all that. I see, I've seen that. God is greater than that. Who can battle with the Lord? Nobody. Who can change His mind alone? Too many years, too many ways, I have seen His faithfulness forever and ever. Yeah. Congratulations, I have seen the glory.
The anthems, please.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign fatherland. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In peace or battle honored, and this we count as gain. To hang on to our children a banner without stain. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed. And so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed.
For you. Thank you very much. The Vice Chancellor of the Great Joseph Sarwuan Tarka University, Makurdi, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, the Registrar of the University, the Bursar, the University Librarian, other Vice Chancellors, both serving and former, present here. The members of Senate of the university comprising deans, directors, heads of department, eminent professors of the university, our distinguished invited guests, staff of the university, our students, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. This is welcoming you. Sorry, good morning. This is welcoming you to the Joseph Sarwuan Tarka University for the 81st inaugural lecture by a great woman who is already moving and shaking the foundations of this country in procurement, environmental and social standards. We thank God for this day that has come. But before we continue with proceedings, I have the pleasure of inviting to the podium Elder Joseph Antio to come say the opening prayer. Please.
Our Father and our God, we want to thank you for this great day. It's a day that you have made that we should rejoice and be glad in it. Thank you, Father, Lord, for this wonderful occasion. We want to commit everything to your hands. We ask specifically that you grant the professor the tongue of the learned to say that is on your mind. Grant that as we stay here, we'll be blessed because we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you very much, sir. We are grateful, man of God. Reverend Dr. Joseph Antio is the state chairman, Haggai Institute International, Makurdi, Benue State. Please, let's appreciate him once again. Thank you very much. We promise, in the tradition of the university and this event, will be as snappy as possible so everyone can retire to the rest of their activities for the day. Women's Day, some people have traveled even from abroad to be here physically and witness this event. I shall call, and when I get tired, I'll crave the indulgence of the rest to accept a general appreciation. So I start with the arrowhead of the university. We call him the innovative vice chancellor. We call him the man who is at the right place at the right time to lead the revolution in this university, to help it come to par with the rest of academic institutions of this level across the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Engineer Professor Isaac Nathaniel Itodo, Vice Chancellor, Joseph Sarwuan Tarka University, Makurdi. Next to him is a great woman too. She is Professor Elizabeth Kembe. She is the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration. You're welcome. The third person in that order is Professor Raymond Wana. He's the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic. Thank you very much. Dr. John Ujo David is the Registrar of the University. Shall we appreciate him? You're welcome, sir. Mr. Simon Traule Otesi is the bossa of the university. Shall we appreciate him? And in representative capacity is Professor Joy Idachaba, representing the university librarian. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We are here with our dear mom. Behind a successful man, there must be a woman. Our mother, very quiet, reserved, and who doesn't seek, even though her name is Grace, she doesn't seek so much from the world. It's just to be a good mother to the university, to lead our women to greater heights. We're already seeing the results at their secretariat around the primary school there. This is introducing the wife of the Vice Chancellor and Chairperson, University Women Association, Mrs. Grace Itodo. Please, let's appreciate our dear mom. And she moves to the high table with her entourage, which also comprises Mrs. Ogunwolu, wife of a former acting Vice Chancellor in the university. Please, let's appreciate them. This is introducing to this audience Dr. Joshua A. Atta. He is the Director of Special Projects and National Coordinator Space Project, National Universities Commission. You are welcome, sir. Please, shall we appreciate him? Ushers, move him to the high table. We have Dr. Chris Mayaki, former Executive Secretary, National Universities Commission, here with us too. Please, shall we appreciate him? You are welcome, sir. Professor Barbara Ziokoska is a procurement specialist with the World Bank. She's here with us too. Shall we appreciate her? Professor Ibrahim Garba is the Vice Chancellor of Tafawa Balewa University, Bauchi. Let's appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's not be surprised. They are taking their time to come to the high table, and I believe that when they get up, our ushers will bring them forward. In the meantime, let's continue with this list. Professor Simon T. Ubwa is the acting Vice Chancellor, Reverend Father Moses Osho at Daso University, former Benue State University, Makurdi. Shall we appreciate him? Engineer Professor Emmanuel Kucha is a former Vice Chancellor in our university here. Shall we appreciate him as we await his ascendance to the high table to my right? Professor Anande Richard Kimbi is also expected at this event. Maybe he's already here. He's a former Vice Chancellor of this university too. Professor Charity Anya is a former Vice Chancellor, Reverend Father Moses Osho at Daso University, Makurdi. Please, let's appreciate her. Ushers, lead her to the high table to my right. Please, mommy, please come to the high table, man. You're welcome. Thank you. Please, let's appreciate our mommy. Thank you very much, man. Professor Mafuyai Hayford is a former Vice Chancellor, University of Jos. Sir, you're welcome to this great university. Shall we appreciate him? Professor Msu Kembe is a former Vice Chancellor, Reverend Father Moses Osho at Daso University, Makurdi. He will soon be here with us. Please, shall we appreciate him in advance? Professor Emmanuel Dandaura is the Special Training Coordinator, Nasarawa State, and a Professor of Theatre Arts, Nasarawa State University. Shall we appreciate him and lead him to the high table, ladies and gentlemen? Mrs. Afolake Enwuchola is here. Please, shall we appreciate and take her to the high table? She leads the delegation of representatives of the Anglican Bishop of Otukpo Diocese, Right Reverend Benjamin Enwuchola. So on her entourage is also very Reverend Anayo Igwebuike. Please, shall we appreciate him? Ushers, lead them to the high table. And Engineer Timothy O. Okibe is Executive Director, Engineering at Lower Benue River Basin Development Authority, Makurdi. Shall we appreciate him? And ushers, lead him to the high table. Barrister Abigail Wire is the Head of Service, Nasarawa State Civil Service. She's here in our midst. You're welcome. Please, shall we appreciate her? Ushers, lead her to the high table. Mrs. Belinda Oyigbenu is Permanent Secretary, Establishment in the Government of Nasarawa State. Shall we appreciate her? And ushers, please lead her to the high table. Lead them. This is also recognizing and appreciating Dr. Moses. Dr. Moses Agbobode, who is Head of Service, Benue State. Shall we appreciate him? And ushers, lead him to the high table, please. Professor Folashade Olajuigbe is President, Organization for Women in Science and Developing World, and a lecturer, Federal University of Technology, Akure. She is in our midst. Please, shall we appreciate her? Thank you. Honorable Tewase Obunde is a former Chief of Staff to the Governor of Benue State. He's in our midst. Shall we appreciate him? Ushers, lead him to the high table. Earlier, Dr. Joseph Antio, who is State Chairman, Haggai Institute International, say the opening prayer. Please, ushers, let's appreciate him once again as the ushers lead him to the high table, please. Architect Bishop Benjamin Kurudu, Firm Foundation Ministries, Makurdi is here. Please, let's lead the man of God to the high table. Reserving the best for the last is in a very special way, inviting the husband of the inaugural lecturer and the children if they are here, and children's children if they are here, to come to the high table and take their special seat reserved for them, especially to grace this event that the mommy of the house will soon be championing. Please, let's appreciate our daddy once again. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, Nnamonu, please, let's appreciate her. Thank you very much, ma, and we thank God for joining mercies for you. Ladies and gentlemen, the list is inexhaustible, but I believe some of the people will be acknowledged duly by the inaugural lecturer in her acknowledgement. For now, it suffices to say we also recognize and appreciate the staff and students of the College of Physical Sciences, the home college of the inaugural professors. Shall we appreciate them, please? We also recognize and appreciate staff of IPES, Institute for Procurement, Environmental and Social Standards, Joseph Sarwuan, Tarka University, Makurdi, who have thronged this arena strongly to support their director and center leader. Shall we appreciate them, ladies and gentlemen? This is not forgetting the noble service of the Case Arrived TV crew, who are here ensuring that our event is beamed here and live across all social media outlets of the university. Shall we clap for them? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I pause here briefly to invite the chairman inaugural and public lectures of the university, Professor Shaibu Idoga, to step to the podium and present the welcome address. Shall we clap for him?
The chairman of this occasion, the Vice Chancellor himself, Professor I.N. Itodu, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Admin, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic, the Registrar, the Bossa, the Librarian. Members of the high table to my right, my job here is to welcome all of us, particularly those who are coming to witness our inaugural lecture for the very first time. I want to tell you that our inaugural lecture has been very, very regular, supported by our active, innovative Vice Chancellor, to the extent that we hold our inaugural lecture twice every month. I want to welcome all of you from both near, far and near, and I want to let you know that on a regular basis we hold our inaugural lectures. And secondly, I want to appreciate members of the Senate, especially those who have recently been promoted to the rank of professor, that here we don't run dry of people who are willing to present inaugural lectures. And that is a very big boast to the committee, that we don't go out pursuing people to come and give their inaugural lectures. And so we congratulate all of you. And on that note, I want to let you know that we have another inaugural lecture a fortnight from today, precisely on the 8th of October 2025, to be delivered by Professor M.O. Aduloju of Guidance and Counseling. That will be followed by Professor Kankuka of Animal Nutrition on the 22nd of October. We have another individual who also key in October because he has some other engagement after that date. Engineer Professor Ibrahim will take his turn on the 29th of October 2025. The following are listed for November and December. Specific dates have not been assigned, and we will communicate with them later. Professor Aminu Ali of Soil Science Department, Engineer Professor Udochukwu of Agricultural and Environmental Engineering, Engineer Professor Kuhe, and Professor Shamke, and also the last but not the least for the year, which will take number 89 series of the inaugural lecture, is Professor T.F. Ikpa of Department of Zoology. On that note, I want to welcome all of you. Sit down quietly and enjoy what the lecturer has for us. You are welcome.
Thank you, sir. Shall we appreciate the chairman inaugural and public lectures better, please? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I yield this time to the innovative Vice Chancellor of the Joseph Sarwuan Tarka University for his welcome address. Please, shall we put our hands together for him?
Principal officers of the university, deans and directors, and in particular, the dean of the postgraduate school and the dean of the College of Physical Sciences, visiting vice chancellors, and in particular, former VCs, my good friend, Professor Charity Angia, and all the others that are present here, heads of departments, distinguished professors, the inaugural lecturer herself, Professor Lami A Ulufofo. Oh yeah, Nnamonu. That's the way the Igala man will introduce somebody in a solemn assembly like this. They will call your name, they will call your father's name, the village you come from, and even your husband's name. And that's what I have just done. So let me repeat it again so that you can go home with it. Alami Oma Yeshufu Ulufofo Oya Emmanuel Nnamonu. Invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press, great Makodians. Once again, we are gathered to listen to the academic journey of one of our shining scholars, Professor Lami Angela Nnamonu, of the Department of Environmental Sustainability of the College of Physical Sciences. Professor Nnamonu will be taking us through the world of molecules, and in particular, the interaction of molecules and the mind. I can only welcome you to the 81st inaugural lecture of our university. I congratulate Professor Lami Nnamonu on this milestone and extend my best wishes to the staff and students of our department and college. Good morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we appreciate the innovative Vice Chancellor better. Thank you. Earlier, I had skipped the introduction deliberately of the inaugural lecture because there is somebody who is worthier than I who has been scheduled to introduce her. So now, in every sense of duty, I have the pleasure of inviting a great scholar in the person of Professor Rufus Shatu to step to the podium and introduce the inaugural lecture. Thank you, audience, for all the appreciation. Let's appreciate him.
You know, Vice Chancellor, sir, there's a common African adage that when a child washes his or her hands well, that child gets to dine at the table with elders. It's on this note that, with your permission, sir, I'd like to invite Lami. Lami. I'd like to invite Lami Angela Nnamonu, Professor of Agrochemistry, to step forward. So that I can present her to this august assembly to justify why she should be at the dining table with elders. Lami Nnamonu was born at Angwarimi, Kaduna, the second of 9 children, to Amina of Ochunobi and Malam Yusuf Amodu of Olufofo, both in Ampa local government area of Kogi State. She graduated in Division 1 at the West African School Certificate Examination from the Federal Government College, Kano. To tell you that it started at that tender age, and proceeded to University of Jos, from where she bagged a first-class Bachelor of Science degree in chemistry education. At the end of her first year in the university, she won the Federal Government National Merit Award and was on that scholarship throughout her undergraduate studies in Jos. She was the best graduating MSc Organic Chemistry, best graduating student at the MSc class Organic Chemistry at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, with a CGPA of 3.91 on a scale of 4.00. Lami did her PhD coursework in the University of Agriculture, Makurdi, now known as Joseph Sarwuan Tarka University, and won the Commonwealth Split Doctoral Scholarship, which took her to carry out the PhD research in Durham University, England, United Kingdom. This led to a PhD in agrochemical technology, the first ever PhD in that discipline in sub-Saharan Africa. And here's the kicker. She earned a perfect CGPA of 5.00 on a scale of 5.00 in the PhD, a performance that earned her automatic employment by the then Vice Chancellor of our university, Professor J.O.I. Ayate, now the BLT, coming in as Lecturer 1 in the University of Agriculture, Makurdi. From this appointment, as the first female staff in the Department of Chemistry, Lami Nnamonu has risen to become the first female Professor of Chemistry in Benue State. Her PhD research earned national distinction as best PhD thesis in the physical sciences in the year 2011. Best PhD thesis in the physical sciences. This award was given by the National Universities Commission under the Nigerian Universities Doctoral Thesis Award Scheme. Her thesis was adjudged the best in physical sciences, and this includes chemistry, mathematics, physics, computer science, and statistics in all of Nigeria. A distinguished scholar and accomplished scientist, Professor Lami is a two-time winner of the highly coveted Schlumberger Foundation Faculty for the Future Postdoctoral Fellowship Award, during which she was a research fellow at two universities in England, Newcastle University and Durham University, for 2 years. Lami Nnamonu has been head of Department of Pre-Science Department of the university and was acting director, Center for Agrochemical Technology. She is currently the maiden project manager. We know her better as center leader of the Center for Innovation in Procurement, Environmental and Social Standards, CIPES, a World Bank-sponsored sustainable procurement, environmental and social standards enhancement specific project in the Federal University of Agriculture, Makurdi, here in Benue State, where we are seated. The project she leads caters for training in all 6 states of North Central Geopolitical Zone in Nigeria, including the Federal Capital Territory. She is the director of the Institute of Procurement, Environmental and Social Standards, IPES, in the university, the first of such institutes, not just in Nigeria, but sub-Saharan Africa. Our inaugural lecturer is a World Bank-trained environmental standards facilitator. She is a certified project management professional. If you see PMP after her name, that is the meaning of that. And this she obtained from the prestigious Project Management Institute in Pennsylvania, United States of America. So she's a global project management professional, having passed the dreaded examination above target at the first attempt. You may not appreciate it, but just like the people in ICANN will tell you their own goals, project management, many people take this exam 3, 4, 5 times before they get qualified. She qualified at the first attempt. She has participated twice in the Global Project Control Summit organized by the Project Control Academy, where she has won for 2 years in a row the Technology Explorer Award. Lami has to her name the Dale Carnegie Pen for outstanding performance, which she won in June 2025. An entrepreneurial scientist and fellow of the Chartered Institute of Business Entrepreneurs, USA, Professor Nnamonu is a faculty advisor for JOSTUM team of enactors since 2008. For those of us in the university, enactors has become some kind of signature in this university. It is little wonder that Lami is one of their faculty advisors. From here, she became the first and only Nigerian representative of the Global Faculty Research Network, GFRN. You recall that Enactors is the largest international student organization in the world, which gives a platform to power entrepreneurial action to enable progress around the world from students. By the time they graduate, they are already doing great things. She is a faculty advisor of the American Chemical Society International Students Chapter, which she established and has been nurturing in the university since 2015. She is the national project coordinator of the R2P, that is Recruitment, Retention, and Progression Work Group. an initiative of the Schlumberger Foundation Faculty for the Future Fellows and alumni, working to bridge the gender gap in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, that is STEM. She is National Secretary of the Network of Nigerian Women in STEM. Professor Nnamonu is founder and executive director of her pet project, Network for Young Girls in Future Technology and Science, or GIFTS initiative, where she is mentoring girls into tertiary and postgraduate STEM studies and careers. This network has grown by leaps and bounds. The first Benue State Best Teacher of the Year, Lami Nnamonu, has in her train a number of prizes and awards, including the following: Conference Poster Prize in Glasgow, Scotland, University of Jos Prize for Best Student in the Faculty, Professor P. N. Lassa Prize for Best Final Year Student, and Students National Merit Award throughout her undergraduate years. She won the Summit Social Star Award in 2024 at the Global Project Control Summit in Texas, United States, and was decorated as Outstanding Project Manager, OPM, by the head of the Department of Chemistry, having left the Department of Chemistry, JOSTUM, for the new Department of Environmental Sustainability in JOSTUM in the year 2023. A bona fide member of the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, IUPAC, Lami is a certified organizer of the annual IUPAC Global Women Breakfast and an invited speaker at the IUPAC Canadian CCE Conference 2020 and several other international meetings. A fellow of the Institute of Chartered Chemists of Nigeria, a fellow of the Chemical Society of Nigeria, and fellow of the Science Teachers Association of Nigeria. That is who our inaugural lecturer is. But beyond that, let me tell you that Lami is a widely traveled, invited speaker at several conferences and workshops. Professor Lami Nnamonu is an active member of many learned societies, like Organization of Women in Science for the Developing World, OWSD, American Chemical Society, the Royal Society of Chemistry, Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, and the Project Management Institute, United States of America. Professor Lami has participated in several international trainings, conferences, and workshops, published many peer-reviewed articles in national and international journals, won research and travel grants, and graduated many undergraduate and postgraduate students. She has mentored many students, boys and girls, and many of her mentees are currently pursuing postgraduate studies outside Nigeria. Lami Nnamonu is an international endorser of the Haggai Institute International. I think they are represented here. A member of the Diocesan Mothers Union, Women's Guild, and a lady of St. Paul, KSP. Professor Lami Nnamonu is married to Dr. Emmanuel Nnamonu, MBBS. And they have 5 wonderful children. Dr. Anita Vida, Engineer Jack Kevin, Pharmacist Nkoli Lillian, Engineer Omego Samuel, and Keisha Chika. Lami Nnamonu speaks English, French, Hausa, Idoma, Igala, Igbo, Yoruba, and TIF is the project she's working on now. So she's also a linguist. So Lami enjoys dance aerobics, cycling, and singing. I'm sure that's going to happen here today. Her only regret is that she hasn't learned swimming. Vice Chancellor, sir. August audience, I present to you the first Professor of Agrochemistry in Sub-Saharan Africa, Lami Nnamonu, to present her inaugural lecture. Lami.
The Vice Chancellor, while Kesa Rice tries to set this up, the Vice Chancellor, Engineer Professor Isaac Nathaniel Itodo, the Deputy Vice Chancellors, the Registrar, the Bursar, the University Librarian, Emeritus Professor Ikenna Onyido, who would have been here but for ill health, other Vice Chancellors present and represented, especially Vice Chancellor Kogi State University, all deans and directors, especially my dean, College of Physical Sciences, Professor S.T. Swem, all heads of departments, most especially my HOD, Environmental Sustainability, Associate Professor Christopher O. Eche, professors and other members of the academic community, respected members of the non-teaching staff, staff and students of the College of Physical Sciences and other colleges, staff and students of Department of Environmental Sustainability and other departments, Commonwealth Scholarship Fellows, Association of Nigeria, COSFAN, some of them are here, Faculty for the Future Fellows and Alumni, fellows and members of the Chemical Society of Nigeria, fellows and members of the Institute of Chartered Chemists of Nigeria, ICON, fellows and members of Science Teachers Association of Nigeria, STAN, royal fathers and religious leaders, my family in the UK, USA, Canada, and Nigeria, gentlemen of the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, greatest Macordians, Vice Chancellor, sir, distinguished colleagues, guests, friends, and family. My siblings are here, led by Denjuma Ahmed Yusuf, all the way from Abuja and other parts of Nigeria. They are seated, I think, row 4 here. It is with immense gratitude and humility that I stand before you today to deliver this inaugural lecture, the 81st in the university and 2nd in the Department of Environmental Sustainability. This is the first inaugural lecture by a female professor of chemistry in Benue State. And someone who knows told me that this is also the first by a female professor of chemistry in Kogi State. And the chairman of the Igala Staff Association says this is the first Igala female presenting an inaugural lecture. To me, this is more than an academic tradition. It is a moment of gratitude. It is a moment of reflection, celebration, and responsibility. I am honored to be Nigeria's first professor of agrochemistry and grateful for the journey that has brought me here. By now, we all know what an inaugural lecture is. It's a formal public address given by a newly appointed professor to display to the university and the wider academic community what they are professing. It serves as an opportunity for the professor to showcase their academic achievements, share their insights into their fields, and highlight the broader impact of their work. I urge us to turn the lens to the second in the pair of inextricably intertwined landmarks of a professor's life, the valedictory lecture. Our unbundling VC, sir. You have brought us this far at the inaugural lecture series. A professor who doesn't give an inaugural lecture till his point of retirement is considered in some quarters academically unaccomplished. Worse still is the situation where a professor gives an inaugural lecture without giving a valedictory lecture. He is not only unfulfilled, but he would have cheated the system that made him. Why? Because a valedictory lecture is a professor's public farewell to their academic career, where they share their reflections, the accumulated experiences, and the wisdom from their long service to the academic community. It is a ceremony that formally marks the end of an active academic role, allowing the professor to offer lessons, guidance, and nuggets for the benefit of students and colleagues and the institution itself. Just as we know that the grave is one of the richest places on earth, because people die with lots of wisdom, ideas, visions, and dreams, professors are urged to retire empty and die empty in a social responsibility fashion, giving back to the younger academics a part of their armory of wisdom and experience. The title of my lecture, From Molecules to Mindset, reflects a personal and professional evolution from scientific research, discovery at the molecular level, to leadership in systems change, youth empowerment, and equity advancement in STEM. It showcases my journey from core chemistry to wider systemic transformation. It reveals the carefully woven tapestry of God's mercy and his grace. My life is a tapestry of God's mercy. I was born the second of 9 children, like you have heard, to Amina of Ochunobi and Malam Yusuf Amodu of Ulvofate, both in Ankpa local government area of Kogi State. I was born at Angwanrimi, Kaduna, while my father was working with the colonial masters. I was only 3 years old when we moved from Kaduna to Ilorin in Kwara State, when my father secured a Ministry of Health job. That photo to the bottom left, that's me sitting on my mother's right-hand side. I didn't even recognize myself when I saw that picture when I was a bit older. I'm like, who is this black child sitting here? So, my primary education was at Okesunobi Primary School, Ilorin. It was considered a prestigious school because we were told that the emir of Ilorin, Sulu Gambari, had his primary education there. The story became interesting as I approached the end of my primary education, because while in primary school, I had watched my older sister, bless her soul, Auntie Fatima Larry. She completed primary school and she got promptly married off to the son of her father's closest friend. Our father said he didn't believe in the education of girls beyond the primary school. So growing up, Lami was very quiet, and I enjoyed the protection of my older sister at school. Nobody bullied me. I was doing very well in school, but I was not taking first position. In fact, overall, I was the fourth in primary school. When I was in primary 5, I was going to be 9 years old. I watched my older sister finish primary school and she was given away in marriage. I knew that fate awaited me. But inside me, I knew that I wanted to get college education. But my father said none of his girls will go to secondary school, because they were going to get pregnant out of wedlock and bring him shame and disgrace. So 1 year later, I finished primary school, and entrance forms were being sold, and common entrance exams were written by my classmates to get into college. Of course, my father refused to give me money to purchase those forms. I watched forms to various colleges sell out. The head teacher, Teacher Suleiman, sent a delegation of teachers to beg my father to allow this brilliant girl go to college. My father succeeded in convincing them that there was no point. Deadlines passed and he would not budge until the very first form, the last form, was announced in school. When I recounted the story in 2019 to my mother, bless her soul, she reminded me that when the teachers failed to get my father to budge, she called one of her educated uncles then, Uncle George Bakonu, who knows him very well, to come and beg my father to see the value in educating this girl. But no way. So the deadline for the unity colleges approached, the federal government colleges. I refused to eat or drink anything, and I was crying out my heart day in, day out. Of course, my father didn't know what was going on. He would prepare and go to his civil service work. return in the evening, and go to the farm or go fishing. On the third day of my hunger strike, I didn't know that it was called hunger strike. My mother, crying with me, held me by the hand and took me to my father. She said to him, she was crying, "Your daughter is dying right here in your house. She has not eaten or drank anything in 3 days." Mind you, I was my father's favorite child. Let my siblings who are here not hear that. It was simply his mindset. His mindset, no girl will go to secondary school. Remember, he had 6 girls first, though. The boys came last, though. But his mind was made up. That was when he eventually brought out the money, and I bought the form on the very last day of the Unity School sales. The very last day. The rest, they say, is history. I passed the exam, and at that time, best girls were sent to Queen's College, and the best boys were sent to King's College, Lagos. So I was given an admission letter to Queen's College. My father said, "No way. Lagos is the center of promiscuity. Echo, my daughter will not go there." So they checked Queen's College in Lorry, but the classes were full. There was no room for more. The school reached out to my father. At that time, things worked very well. And he said the only place I could go to school would be Kano State because my grandfather lived there. In fact, it was in Kano that my father met my mother and they got married. So that was how I went to Federal Government College, Kano. So my undying passion, you can see my undying passion, that no other girl would need to go on hunger strike to be able to get college education. That is me there in Federal Government College, Kano. The second photo to the left, in the middle. I need to tell you about my mother. You see, when I was growing up, the only thing that would make Lami cry while I was growing up was if somebody called me big head. Truly, the head was big, sha. I will cry. So on one such day, a classmate called me big head at school. And I cried all the way back home and developed headache in the process. You know, that kind of cry increases, the pitch increases when you are close to the door. Mama came out and said, "What happened? Did anybody call you big head today?" I said, "Yes." Between sobs, I answered. Then my mother hugged me. You know, I will never forget. In those days, our mothers were not hugging us. My mother hugged me. She held me close to her. She wiped my tears and said I should listen to her. She said, "Anytime you see anyone with a small head, the person has a small brain. Big heads contain big brain." She then sat me down on her knees and she said, "You see this big head? It is filled with big brain." Then she made 2 pronouncements. She said, "Let me tell you, people of the world will not like you because of this big brain. But that is their problem." She made the second pronouncement. She said, "But this brain will take you to England." She concluded by saying, any day anybody insults you by calling you big head, just laugh because they don't know what they are carrying in your head. That was it. I never cried again. Now, fast forward to when I got employed in Federal University of Agriculture, Makurdi in 2006. The very next year, I won a scholarship to go and carry out my research outside Nigeria. Guess where that scholarship took me to? To England. That is why I dedicated my PhD project to my mother. Because she prophesied that. Be careful what you prophesy to your children. The big head actually took me to England. I must pause at this point to tell you of my nomination. I was nominated with many others in this university, one staff from each department for the Commonwealth Scholarship. Someone else was nominated in my department. But God's grace must be played out in my life. When the name was forwarded to the dean, Professor Hyacinth Oluma, I was told that he stormed out of his office in anger saying, "We keep nominating unqualified people for this Commonwealth Scholarship every year. That's why our university never gets it. How can we be sending a staff with P7 in English to go and study in England where they speak English? Where is that lady that they say got 5.0 CGPA in her coursework?" That was how I was nominated. And guess what? It was only 2 people in the whole of Nigeria that year that won the Commonwealth Split Site Doctoral Fellowship. And that was how I went to England. How did I get into chemistry and agriculture? My love for agriculture did not start today. My father was a civil servant and he was a part-time farmer and fisherman. He went to the farm in the evenings and during weekends. As much as I hated earthworms, I recall vividly how we would pick earthworms for him to go fishing. You know, it was the joy of eating the fish that sustained that pastime. Above all this, as a child, I was fascinated by how only 1 grain of corn was planted, and at harvest we will have 2 or 3 cobs, each having many seeds. Secondary education. When I was in secondary school in faraway Kano, at the end of Form 3, it was time for all the students to be streamed into Form 4. My classmates from Federal Government College Kano are watching online. They are unable to come. We had 5 classes at the time. 4 agrec, 4 econs, 4 farm, 4 ham, and 4 fec. Physics econs, 4 ham is history admats, farm is French admats. Our principal, late Mr. Derek J. Bullock, said I should be in 4 farm so that I will study medicine. I was very good in French. There was no agric in 4 ham. I told him I didn't want to study medicine. I wanted to be a chemistry teacher. So I chose 4 agrec because there was chemistry and there was agric science. The case was decided for me. That was how strong my love for those 2 subjects were. So I graduated, like you've been told, with aggregate 13, missing the distinction aggregate limit of 12 by 1 point. In fact, my classmate Theophilus Dagogo, who made distinction, used to always tease me that he called me to come into the distinction class of aggregate 12, but I refused and I stayed at the door. Right from the early secondary school in FGC Kano, I knew I wanted to be a teacher. That decision was reached because of my chemistry teacher, Mrs. Vargas, who was my role model. I not only wanted to be a teacher, but a chemistry teacher. My mind was made up. All attempts of my principal to change my mind, it failed. It was fruitless. That's why I always tell my students, I'm not a teacher today by chance. So I didn't pick up teaching because I didn't get an oil company job or because I didn't get a better job in the industry. I'm a teacher by choice. And I love teaching. Right from secondary school, I chose not just to study chemistry, but to study chemistry education so that I'll be a teacher. Part 3, phase 3, university education. I got admitted into JOSTUM to study chemistry. The other students in education wondered what this little girl was doing there, because at that time, the people in education were older people from, pivotal teachers colleges, and also my teachers, my lecturers in chemistry department wondered what I was doing in education. In fact, Professor Shambe mentioned this to me again when I paid him a visit late 2024 here in Makodi. When I asked him, does he remember me? He said, you are the little girl who was best in chemistry, but you went to education. I don't know why this is the mindset, that the best students should not be found in education. That mindset must change. Whereas the opposite must be the case if we must teach our subject matter very well. The best brains must be found in the classroom. It is not enough to have a first-class BSc degree in physics, for example, and be found teaching in the university. First class is good though, but you need a teaching qualification to be able to deliver the physics content. The flip side is also true. You need an educational qualification to be a teacher. But, you see, the educational qualification may be NCE, B.Ed, BSc Ed, or whatever, or PGDE. However, having obtained the educational qualification, the teacher must now get well versed in the subject matter. This is the bane of our secondary schools. You see, people teaching chemistry without sound knowledge of the subject matter. It's unfortunate. You cannot give what you don't have. So you see our students performing poorly in WASC and other certificate exams. And it gets worse everywhere. Every year. Let it be stated for the records. I have no regrets whatsoever having chosen to be a teacher. When Benue State celebrated the best World Teachers Day in 1997, I was picked the best teacher of the year along with Father Fraser of Makodi, bless his soul, as best principal. He was best principal and I was best teacher here in IBB Square. So there was a time in this country that there was a policy that any teacher in any higher education institution, be it Polytechnic College of Education, must have an educational qualification. It is not enough to have a BSc chemistry. I long for the return of that policy so that everybody teaching, whether you are teaching in the primary school or in the university, should get an educational qualification. At the point of registration for chemistry education, I discovered that I needed to do physics courses. Physics 111 and 141, for example. God gave me A grades in all my physics courses. Atanu Ogacheko, my classmate, bless his soul, said, Lami, you are not ashamed of yourself. You come from chemistry, from another department, and you come here and make A in physics above some of us who are physics students. You see, that is what God is doing. The tapestry, the intricately woven tapestry of God's mercy in my life. The organic chemistry challenge. Now, the reason I chose organic chemistry for my master's is because while I was in University of Jos, pursuing my BSc, I had A grades all through, almost all through. And at that time, we had B1 and B2 in UniJos. My worst grades were B2, and they were always in organic chemistry. So I said, I couldn't understand. So when it was time to go for my master's, I said, I'll pick organic chemistry to crack that nut. That was why I picked organic chemistry, and I graduated best student. I had cracked the nut, and then I fell in love with organic chemistry. So when I came to do my PhD, I was now going to do physical organic chemistry. You know, fast forward to when I was applying now. I was torn between doing a PhD in physical organic chemistry or in agrochemical technology that I had just become aware of. So, of course, on the day I came to pick the form, I sought the advice of Professor Nnamonu, the chemistry legend and Nigerian father of agrochemistry in Africa. He spoke so glowingly about physical organic chemistry, which is his own primary area. And he spoke equally excitedly about agrochemical technology. So that when I came out of his office, I was so deeply confused. I didn't know. In fact, I felt like doing the 2 PhDs. I didn't know how that would be possible. But anyway, I completed my form and wrote physical organic chemistry. But I didn't have peace. When I returned to the university to submit my form at the PG school, I was so troubled that I looked for TPEX at the PG school and corrected the correction fluid and changed physical organic to agrochemical technology. That was when my peace returned. Now, wait for this. When I was, at the point of registration in this university, I just want you to see the tapestry that God was weaving all along that I didn't know. I was told clearly that if I hadn't done agricultural science in secondary school, there was no way I would have been allowed to register for PhD in agrochemical technology. So you see this love for agric, you see where it's coming from. You can see that to God be all the glory. So I finished PhD in agrochemical technology with this perfect CGPA of 5.0 out of 5.0. And that was why the Vice Chancellor, Bega Otiv, gave me automatic employment. Thank you, His Royal Majesty, Professor J.O. Ayayase, Bega Otiv, for standing for merit all the time. Phase 4, I had always wanted to do a postdoctoral fellowship. So in 2014, I applied for the Schlumberger Faculty for the Future Fellowship, the postdoctoral. Since I did not die writing that proposal, I am not going to die again. No. That proposal was so tough. But to the glory of God, I was selected and I went to Newcastle University in England to do my postdoctoral research in the School of Agriculture, Food and Rural Development, AFRD. It must be clearly stated that postdoc is beneficial to the home university, the department, and to the college. It's not only for the staff doing a postdoc. While I was there, for example, my students and the students of my colleagues who tapped into the provision, by the way, some of my colleagues didn't tap into it. They were exposed to lots of stuff at zero cost. Lots of articles, books, and journals that were behind paywalls were available to them. In fact, the exam officer of chemistry department at the time, he was quoted to have said, Dr. Nnamonu, who is away from Nigeria, has graduated more PG students than some of us who are on ground. To God be the glory. After the first year of the FFTF fellowship, I was asked to apply for a renewal, and I did. We were told that most of the people who applied for renewal that year did not succeed because there was a downsizing of fellowship awards. To the glory of God, I got renewal for the second year. That's me there, NYSC. I don't even remember that I was that slim at the NYSC. And that's me there with my PhD on my graduation. As I planned to return to Nigeria after the postdoc, I began a process of brokering a memorandum of understanding between Durham University and my university back home. So I brought lots of relevant but fairly used equipment for use in the lab so that if it was received by my university here and photo evidence forwarded, that would be the first step towards concretization of the MOU activity. I paid £987 of my personal money for the courier freight to bring them here. Unfortunately, that critical first step didn't happen because of negative bureaucratic sentiments, which I will not talk about here. Suffice it to say that those pieces of equipment and labs and laboratory are helping students and staff in the university in research. To God be the glory. So my mind was made up to climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow till I find my dream. Dear Vice Chancellor, sir, I reckon that for a clear understanding of my topic from the onset, a clear understanding of my topic is necessary at this point from the onset. And a molecule, from molecules to mindsets, trailblazing agrochemistry and leading change. A molecule is the smallest fundamental unit of a pure substance. I don't want to talk of chemical jargon here. People have told me several times, they called me from across the country, that for long we've had inaugural lectures sounding so technical and so empty. I'm using their words. I don't want to bore you that way. Molecules retain the specific chemical and physical properties of the substance. For example, oxygen, which you and I breathe. to complex structures like proteins or DNA. So when you think molecules, you are thinking what? Chemistry. So in the context of this lecture, molecules connote chemistry and everything else. What about mindsets? Mindsets, that's a habitual mental attitude or a set of beliefs and assumptions that shape how an individual interprets and responds to events, challenges, and opportunities in their lives. A societal mindset refers to, an outlook, a set of beliefs shared by a large group of people within a society, influencing their collective thoughts and behaviors. Now, this mindset can be explicit, the laws and norms, or implicit, the attitudes and values. And they guide how a society or the members view the world and make their decisions. Good news, that though mindsets are deeply ingrained, societal mindsets are not static. They change. They can evolve over time, reflecting changes in values and experiences. They can be challenged by new ideas or collective efforts. How was my father's mindset changed from the word go? Up till this point in my career, I have regularly had to re-engineer the mindsets of girls, the mindsets of parents, students, male and female, other youth, from the can't do to the can do mindset. There are some existing societal mindsets that this lecture highlights, including the fact that girls cannot do STEM and do it well. Married women with children cannot succeed in academics or progress in scientific careers. Those are some societal mindsets. And if women succeed in academics, their home front is in shambles. They end up divorced or their children are brigands. You heard the person who presented me. My husband is here. Undergraduates and other youths are incapable of resilience and focus. Government work is business as usual. In academics, you must remain within your chosen career boundaries. And also, difficult and sensitive tasks must be given to senior adults in the university system. These are mindsets, societal mindsets, institutional, that we will address. You can add some more to those mindsets. Agrochemistry is also known as agricultural chemistry in some areas of the world. It's a contraction of two words, agriculture and chemistry. It's a scientific field that is focused on the study and application of chemical processes that affect crop and livestock production. So agrochemistry equals to chemical processes applied to food production. It is relatively new in this part of the world compared to other conventional areas of chemistry like, physical chemistry, organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry. This is a special invitation to all of us seated here. Advise and direct your words, dear parents, to your words and children to agrochemistry. That's where the world has moved to now. Dear Mrs. You can pick a PG degree in agrochemistry if you have a related degree. Come and be relevant in the food security equation. Agrochemistry applies chemistry to farming. As the global demand for food increases, agrochemistry continues to evolve, striving for environmentally friendly practices while addressing the pressing need for sustainable food production. Now, leading change. Change is one of the few constants in life. But leading change requires something more than experiencing it. It demands vision. It demands courage. It demands commitment. For me, leading change has never been an option. It has been a calling. It has meant seeing possibilities. While I look at challenges, I see possibilities. I refuse to see barriers as permanent walls, but I see barriers as doors waiting to be opened. My first degree, for example, was in BSc Chem Ed. I had MSc in organic chemistry, PhD in agrochemical technology, and of course a professor of agrochemistry, originally a chemist, and so in the Department of Chemistry. Not only have I ported to the Department of Environmental Sustainability, but I'm now a certified project manager. We are talking about variety, leading change. The bottom line, however, what I want to share with you today is not about me. It's about the positive changes God has enabled us to lead in the lives of girls, in the lives of youths, for humanity, in organizations and institutions. Is that not indeed the real purpose of our lives? To plant trees where you do not hope to sit under their shade. Now we know that the tripartite role of an academic are the three fundamental pillars. Okay? Teaching, research, and service. Our annual appraisal forms grade us on these three areas. Am I lying, my dear senators? For too long, our focus has been on balance. Academia is made to look too technical and dull. I will tell you what I've been doing along these three areas. Professor Kalu says, at inaugural lecture, you tell us what you have been doing. and what you intend to continue doing. So teaching is the heartbeat of the academic vocation. But I want to let us remember that teaching can be integrated with other functions to create innovative approaches to learning and knowledge dissemination. That has been my calling, displayed in my engagement with students and pupils on various fronts. For example, my initiative, the Network for Young Girls in Futures Technology and Science. In many of our communities, young girls are still trapped in cycles of limited expectations. There are places today that girls are not, their education is not, taken seriously by parents and the society. Yet I've seen the brilliance in the eyes of these girls. I've seen the hunger in their minds. I've seen the dreams in their hearts. And I know that if we could just create pathways, and so gifts that had been in operation for many years was registered. That is the registration number with Corporate Affairs Commission. That's the team there and the kind of things we do. And that's Professor Lami Nnamonu Awards for different years. I give plaques and cash awards for Best Girl in Science and Best Girl in Mathematics. I adopted 2 schools, one in this zone and one in Zone C, where I present these awards to Best Girl. You can see the kind of joy that comes into their eyes when this happens. These are gifts, girls, and activities. What have I been doing? The details of what we are doing at gifts, with gifts, is in the booklet that you have. We encourage girls into STEM careers and graduate studies. Girls in JSS are encouraged to pick science. And those in SS are encouraged to remain. We give prizes. Our advocacy programs, we go to talk to parents at PTA. Because some of the things that make girls run away from science starts from home. You have a boy child. You buy him cranes, trucks, cars, but you have a girl child and you buy her baby dolls. What are you saying? You are telling your girl, engineering is not for you. Just stay in the house and look after girls and look after children. So I talk to parents at PTA and to break the cultural barrier in the way of girls' education. Gifts. We also address and empower girls in tertiary institutions to remain in STEM. We fight the leaky pipeline because some girls get into STEM and they drop. Colleagues have spoken to me. They are already lecturers in physics, in chemistry, in mathematics. They want to drop. I talk to them. These are some of the mindset engineering that I go into, that I do. Now, the Schlumberger Foundation, funders of my postdoc, appointed me coordinator of the R2P work group. And this blossomed into an NGO, the Network for Women. In fact, in Benue State, in some quarters, I'm called Mama STEM. I've coordinated activities across 9 states of Nigeria. Ondo, Akwa Ibom, Enugu, Plateau, Imo, Kwara, Oyo, and Benue states. Impacted more than 1,750 women, 997 girls, and in 165 institutions and the industry. We have organized seminars. These are some of my FFTF mentees from across the globe. In some of these engagements that we've been having under these platforms, secondary school girls have won laptops, tablets, and scientific gadgets to the glory of God. These are some of the NWSM activities. The one to your top left happened in our College of Forestry here. Girls from 17 secondary schools were gathered under role model. Our DVC, Professor Elizabeth Kembe, was one of the resource persons. Role modeling. Then college girls won laptops. Professor Onekutu, Patience, is not here. She was the one who anchored this. More than 250 women were gathered from industry and academia. These are, see Professor Kembe on the right there, Dr. Chisa Ogwaja. And that's my head of environment then. Now Professor Habiba Chahul, a serious chemist. She is wonderful. And Professor Dr. Fayomi helps me a lot in that work. I was, first of all, being assisted by Umar and then now Fayomi. Leading change through Enactus JOSTUM. You see, teaching in its truest sense extends into communities, creating ripples of change that go far beyond university. My 17-year journey with the Enactus team of JOSTUM is a good example. We've been told about Enactus, entrepreneurial action for us. That's the meaning of the word Enactus. We teach these children this, and they've won series of awards. We won national championship in 2024 last year. After 20 years of existence, we won for the first time. And every team that wins goes to represent Nigeria. We went just to VC, remember. Your students went to represent Nigeria last year. Our VC has the Midas touch. It was when he came on board that we won national championship. And we went to Astana, Kazakhstan. He's still in the office. We won again this year, the second time. Thank you. We won the second time. Twice in a row. And we are going to represent the world. We are going to represent Nigeria tomorrow, 25th. You know, if not that I'm here, I should have been on my way to Thailand, to Hong Kong, where we would represent Nigeria at the Enactors World Cup. We have won so many prizes. And we are making the world proud and changing things that happen. Leading change via JOSTUM ACS, the American Chemical Society. I initiated and established this in 2015. Our chapter is the 3rd in Nigeria and the 17th in the whole world. I've been the faculty advisor, first of all, assisted by Dr. Dominic Umor, and now by Dr. Fayomi. Those students, we have gone through town on market campaigns. Those are the things I spend my time doing. Transforming lives, changing their mindsets. Young people, you can do things. Look at the bottom left. We had a program for disabled students in our university here to make them feel they belong. Inclusivity, respect for the differently abled. And we do lots of things. In secondary school, in primary schools, we go to demystify chemistry. We perform experiments, kitchen experiments with kitchen things. The wow. When you see these primary school children, these are the things I spend my time doing. Look at the top left hand. That's our demonstration primary school here in JOSTUM. When you see this, look at the way those girls are watching. They will now say, yes, I want to be a scientist. It's so interesting and all of that. These are the things. College girls, teenagers, and young girls walk up to me and say, ma'am, mommy, I want to be like you when I grow up. I tell them, no, you cannot be like me. You will surpass me. That's what I tell them. This is the can-do mindset that I am engineering. JOSTUM ACS activities are there for us to see. And it's on, one breaking news is that ACS undergraduate students have been writing and winning proposals under our mentorship and guidance. Grant proposal writing is a tough thing for academics. It's not only in academics, it's in industry. In some programs, success rates can be as low as 5 to 20%. Rejection can be discouraging, especially for early career academics. But our undergraduate students over the years have mentored, trained, and guided them, and they have won a number of grants that I have listed in the booklet that you have. Travel grants, international professional meetings, and so on. We won Honorable Mention Award and all of that. Now, while teaching has allowed me to impart knowledge and inspire future scientists, it is through research that I have deepened that knowledge, generated new insights, and contributed to the evolving frontiers of agrochemistry. Now, I will turn to that second mandate of academics, research. Now, agrochemicals, we know what they are. Synthesized chemical products used in agriculture to improve crop growth and protect them from pests and diseases. We know what they are. The examples are there. Plant growth regulators. Sometimes when we think of agrochemicals, we only remember pesticides and fertilizer. But there are many. Plant growth hormones, insect attractants, repellents, plant defense inducers, herbicide safeners, and so on. For livestock feed additives, we have animal growth regulations, anthelmintics, and all of that. Now, agrochemicals are man. The ones that have colored blue, they are the positives, the good things. But agrochemicals have lots of negative things. They endanger biodiversity, damage our environment, and they compromise agric systems and sustainability. Now, why are agrochemicals dangerous? They are persistent. They are not easily degraded in the environment. They slowly metabolize and excreted by living organisms. They are fat soluble, so they are stored in your body's fat tissues. They bioaccumulate. That means they build up in the system and they biomagnify. That means this accumulation increases at higher food chain levels. Remember, I don't want to go technical. The health effects. There are acute and chronic health effects of agrochemicals. Acute means when you are exposed to high level by accidental exposure, high level of these agrochemicals. And you might have skin irritation, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, fatigue, neurological effects, coma can happen, and even death. Okay? Short-term, high level exposure. Then the chronic one is the one that you and I should be afraid of. Over a long period of time, low level exposure to agrochemicals, it can cause cancer. No wonder the spate of cancers have increased over the years across the world. Endocrine disruption. They interfere with hormones. You get married. then you cannot make babies. You don't know that the balls have been knocked off. Neurological problems. Long-term exposure has been associated with Parkinson's disease. This one that people will be shaking like this. You know, memory loss, cognitive decline and development, reproductive and development, miscarriages, birth defects, low birth weight, immune system suppression. Every sickness passing, you just catch it. You don't know that it is the agrochemicals that you have been ingesting. How do we make agrochemicals, the synthetic ones, less toxic? There are a number of ways. How can we? Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for this love. There are a number of ways, but my work is focused on the first one, formulation improvements. And slow release formulations, that's my area. Slow release agrochemical formulations are delivery systems that release active ingredients over an extended period of time. You know, the problem is most of our farmers are largely illiterate. You tell them that, Baba, we use this thing. The instructions are on the cover. They say, my pikin. And they use this thing before they born you. In fact, one man told me, he said, they use this thing before your papa marry your mama. So I cannot come and tell him how it's used. But they just pour these agrochemicals like that because they want bumper harvest. They don't care what it does to the environment, to water, to the soil, to the air. So these slow release formulations, these are the things, the positive things about slow release formulation. Reduce losses, reduce food residues, safety and resource saving, reduce phyto and demand toxicity, smaller dosage, decrease environmental pollution, masking of odors, of course, and convenience, ease of handling. So my work is on slow release formulation. I will not be fair to science if I talk about my research without mentioning glyphosate. Many of us have heard of Roundup. If you have heard of Roundup, that herbicide, wave your hand if you have heard of Roundup. Okay, thank God. I thought none of us are farmers. So the world's most popular broad spectrum herbicide. But glyphosate, the same properties that make it very effective also make it difficult to determine. So I went to the UK armed with a proposal to work on glyphosate. When I got there, I discovered that to even quantify, to identify it, has been bothering the whole world for so long. Common detection methods using LCMS and MS were very highly sensitive but very expensive and tedious. So we had to seek a very simple method that would be used to identify and quantify glyphosate. And that was achieved. Glory to God. So, the research used the well-known anhydrine reaction, which produces a colored Ruhimann's purple. And like the equations are there, the color intensity was now used to measure, the concentration in a spectrophotometer. That was simple and easy. And that, in fact, that was the key innovation. We just used two buffers. The two buffers are listed there. We confirmed that buffers are essential for a reproducive and sensitive assay of amino acids because glyphosate is an amino acid. And in fact, the application of Ruhimann's purple, this thing that we did to be able to quantify and identify glyphosate, and the use of luminescent lanthanides in glyphosate quantification earned me the winning poster prize at the Global Symposium of SIMPOC in Glasgow. The first time I presented an academic poster, I was a winner because of these two findings. So it was now possible to do the slow release formulations of glyphosate, trifluralin, and imazaquine. Now, the eco-friendliness of my procedure was underscored by the choice of benign, non-toxic matrices. So I was using kaolin, that's clay. I was using chitosan, that's something you get from the exoskeleton of fish and, clams and all of that. So, and I was using starch, bean starch, amylose starch, and all of that. So the use of alginate, algin was also something. So corn, we got starch from corn, and we made these slow release formulations, which you are seeing there. Then my work also extended to nanoparticle synthesis and characterization of efficacies and efficacy testing. So these pesticides were chosen because of popularity, the ones that are popularly used. You can see pendimethalin concentration response. You can see the nanoparticles synthesized there by a simple method. Remember, my idea is to get simple methods that can be done in labs in the third world. So, silver chitosan nanoparticles via microwave method. The microwave method doesn't even have to be a super duper microwave. Even the domestic microwave. You see, domestic microwave and laboratory microwave were used. And these were successful. See several nanoparticles that were synthesized and they are same there. Now, research. Yes, we are told to publish several papers. But it's not just the number of papers, but the readership. How are the papers read? That's the matrix of one of my papers. That's the Google Scholar matrix. You can see that the research is being read and is helping the world. Efficacy testing. I tested those things I synthesized on wheat and also using 3 soils, from Makodi. Agrochemical alternatives. You see, until the fully, non-synthetic biorational products become readily available, we must continue to use these agrochemicals, but let's use them responsibly. These biopesticides are safer and eco-friendly. In our labs over the years, we have carried out research checking the pesticidal activity of common things. Like in the villages, people store their beans with pepper. They use ginger and so on. But you have seen where a family of 6 will eat beans. Somebody stores beans. Maybe the direction says don't eat these beans until after 6 months. Then his mother-in-law or father-in-law dies. He will just go and sell the beans. He needs money. Then the unsuspecting housewife will buy it, and her whole family, they will be dead. So we are looking for non-toxic alternatives to these synthetic chemicals. And we have searched for them in very common things like Ficus benjamin, Annona squamosa. In the booklet that you have, the students of mine that have worked on these things, I acknowledge them there. Also, citrus, Apium graveolens, and all of that. Annona squamosa and Annona muricata. Squamosa is sweet sop, muricata is sour sop. So we've done this testing, especially on Calosobrucus maculatus and the weevils of Penicetum glaucum, that is millet, because we drink a lot of beer in this part of the world. So we wanted to make beer very safe for consumption. I love beer a lot as well. So pesticide residues. When pesticides are used, they say don't spray this pesticide close to harvest. Then they will go and spray the pesticide 2 weeks to harvest. You will not know. You are buying the vegetables and fruits. You are eating it. You are also ingesting pesticides. What next? I'm going to share with you some simple do-it-yourself strategies of reducing pesticide residues in your food. What can you do? You cannot go and grow everything that you eat. Somebody entered my garden some time back. He came to do some work in the house. He said, Madam, the only thing we know that this your garden now, Maggie. Everything they here. Tomato, he named them. But you see, I can't grow all I eat. I must buy from the market. Number 1, baking soda and salt wash. When you wash your produce with 10% baking soda, you reduce pesticide by 15 to 75%. What is baking soda? It means 1 cup of water with some salt and baking soda. 15 minutes is too much for me. I'll finish before then. Thank you. Then vinegar wash. A vinegar wash decreases pesticide residues by 40 to 90%. When you wash your produce with vinegar, it also kills microorganisms like E. coli, Salmonella, and Listeria. The chemistry is simple. If you have agrochemical residues on your food, the vinegar wash will take out, the alkaline residues. And then the washing soda will take out the acidic residues. And then you have wonderful food. Water alone is not enough. Then peeling. You can peel some of your food stuff before you eat them. But be careful what you're peeling. Because there's a saying that Africans give the best part of their food to their goats. In fact, Anyalewa, my friend, said, Lami, you will soon tell us to start eating yam with the peels. You will soon turn us to goats. Yes, because when you buy corn and you remove the coat, you have removed some of the most interesting part, the nutrition. Because science has revealed that most of the nutritive parts of fruits are right under the skin. You understand? Apart from the fact that you also need the fiber. Blanching, okay? Put your produce in boiling water for 2 to 3 minutes. Quickly remove and place it. And then refuse. Refuse to use, eat. There is what we call the dirty dozens and the clean 15. Choose your battles. Choose the kind of food you eat. Then, lastly, eat a few weevils. Hello? You heard me right. My father's people say, ideki defeja eja iche. What does that mean? It means that the maggot in dry fish is also what? Fish. So when you are buying your beans, don't look for beans that is squeaky clean. Look for beans that has a few weevils in it. The presence of a few weevils in your beans, that's protein. Eh? Let me tell you. Eat some weevils. You know, while most people avoid eating weevils, eating insects has become wonderful. All over the world, people are eating weevils. Insects. In some cultures, like the African Palm Weevil, you know, Rhynchophorus finishes. People are eating it now. It's a special species of palm weevil found in Africa. The larvae are considered a delicacy, rich in nutrients, and a significant part of the diet in some tropical areas. Look at the beautiful dish at the top right-hand corner. I'm sure you are salivating, but we are not serving it at the reception. Look at, they are eating weevils and insects all over the world. Eat some weevils rather than ingest agrochemicals. Because the presence of a few weevils in the basin of beans tells you that there are no agrochemical residues. Knowledge generated in the lab must not remain confined to walls, journals, and conferences. So I look at the third mandate and I will round up. Community service. For me, this is the arena where scholarship is tested, where theories are translated into solutions, and where knowledge breathes life into communities. The application of knowledge for the common good. That's what we call community service. Membership of committees is university service. Yes, but it should not be limited to it. It's not the number of committees I've served on in the university that makes me do well in community service. I have brought lab equipment for use of this university twice. You know, that's community service. Leading change by sacrifice. My essential oil still. Essential oils are veritable sources of biopesticide. When you talk of essential oils, you are talking of the essence of some plants. The oils are found to be very good agrochemicals. So, all expenses from my personal savings, I made that essential oil still in 2015 in South Core. The facility was available to everybody. Any of us sitting here will testify that your PG students came and used that at zero cost to the university. That is my service to this community. Now, that impression was vandalized 2015. With some PG students, I made that impression. With some of my PG students of that session. They vandalized it. But I had to work on it again and bring it to form. This is the current state, the new improved version of the essential oil still. In South Core, the signboard is there. Thanks to Dr. Obina Ofegu of Industrial Chemistry Department. He was the brain behind this. I did this again. And we are incorporating carbon dioxide so that we can use water. This water and carbon dioxide, these are benign methods, eco-friendly, green methods that will take carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And no, just send an email send a request to the email on top of on the signboard there. Now, leading change by SPECI project management. The World Bank SPECI project is in this university. We take care, our center here covers training in 6 states, all the states in the North Central and the FCT. Of course, there were challenges before us when we were applying for this, to host this SPECI project. FUAM was rated very poor in project implementation. In fact, if Professor R.A. Kimbi is here, he will testify. We were told in Abuja, your university, Makodi, when they give them anything, they eat it. They just spoil it. We had a very bad name for project, implementation. The scars of non-compliance and weak accountability were staring us. And this jeopardized future funding and cast a shadow on our great academic potential. Initially, there were low expectations from Makodi. It's like, what good can come out from Nazareth? You know, they say, Makodi, you don't have good roads. You don't have airport. You had high insecurity, poor compliance, etc. But our proposal, they say the merit was so high. They repeated and repeated the grading to get Makodi out. But God no agree. So we got it. And to the glory of God. To the glory of God. To validate my project manager role. You know, one of my credos is whatever is worth doing well. So a new credential, I had to get a new credential. That's PMP. A totally new field. I prepared and wrote that dreaded exam. Like Professor Shato, who presented me, said, that exam is tough. People write it several times and fail. But God gave it to me. Earning a PMP demonstrates ability to lead and direct any project anywhere in any sphere of life. It demonstrates capacity to govern any organization, to govern a state, to govern a country. PMP is associated with career advancement and JVC, sir. is also associated with higher earning potential, sir. Dear VC, sir, maybe my salary should increase now that you've heard this. I've come to realize that molecules and project milestones are not as different as they seem. Both molecules and project milestones require precision, structure, and balance. What did we do differently at the World Bank Center of Excellence? With a strong team of some dedicated colleagues, great cybersites, we restructured our project execution model. We implemented strict compliance frameworks. We established transparent reporting systems. And we made a few enemies along the way, by the way. Because when people were sent to us and we discovered they were not delivering, we sent them back. We were not looking at faces. We wanted delivery. We built the capacity of staff and we are still building capacity. And we maintain continuous engagement with World Bank supervisors. Disbursement-linked indicators became our compass. Accountability, our watchword. What was the outcome? The first Institute of Procurement, Environmental and Social Standards in Nigeria. We transited from a center of excellence to an institute. Thank you, dear VC, sir. You are one in a million. Our university moved. We have moved from being flagged, red flag. We are now being celebrated. Not only in the North Central, but in the whole of the country. Where skepticism once reigned, trust and respect are now beginning to stand. These are the things that the SPECI project has brought to the university. You have it in your book. I will not bore you with it. Thank you, dear VC, sir, for your tremendous support and encouragement. Thank you for your buy-in displayed in approval of the transition of the Center of Pest to an Institute of Pest. Thank you for the merit award that you gave to all members of the Center Management Committee, which is shown there. The Inaugural Lecture Mobilization Fund. Dear VC, sir, Inaugural Lecture is an academic exercise. A time of great joy for the academic. I have arrived at the peak of my career. Come, rejoice with me. That's what Inaugural Lecture tells us. The essence lies in intellectual engagement, mentorship, and inspiration. But dear VC, sir, there's an emerging trend that is converting Inaugural Lecture into a fundraising occasion. WhatsApp groups are created and money is donated to support the Inaugural Lecture. Wrappers are purchased and sold with a profit margin to identify with the Inaugural Lecturer. Nothing like that is bad, but we don't know what will be the next thing. We might not know what the next things will be. These things don't happen in other universities in the West, South, or North. Do your Inaugural Lecture the way your pockets can carry you. That is what it should be. So, dear VC, sir, I am appealing. What's the veritable solution? We need to set and redefine firm boundaries. People are complaining in the background. They are complaining. Life is hard and every day, Inaugural Lecture Group. People are complaining. Review upwards, dear VC, sir, the Inaugural Lecture Mobilization Fund given to us. Or, let's get TED Fund to sponsor inaugural lectures. Because the expectations are enormous. Or, let there be an outright ban on such unacademic sides of this beautiful tradition. Just as there has been a ban on signing out activities by graduating students. There is a need for change of mindset, dear VC, sir. I was brought up by Professor Onyudo. If I did any of such things, the man would not take it. Looking ahead, I see a future where farmers apply slow-release pesticides, pesticide fertilizer combos, customized fertilizers tailored to their soils, produced locally by young agrochemical entrepreneurs. I see a future where bio-based pesticides derived from our indigenous plants replace toxic imports. My vision going forward, strengthening the Center for Agrochemical Technology and Environmental Research, expanding the scope of SPECI to include climate resilience and green chemistry, deepening the impact of our not-for-profit outfit, GIFTS. This, dear VC, sir, is the vision I carry. This is the change I lead. And this is the legacy I hope to leave. A science that serves, a generation that leads, and a nation that thrives. In conclusion, my wonderful people, conventional synthetic agrochemicals are necessary evils. We need them, but they are evil. So let's use them responsibly and ethically. Let us cultivate not only our soils, but also the minds and futures of our young people. For there lies the harvest of a prosperous Nigeria. The future of science, innovation, and national progress belongs to those bold enough to plant seeds in unlikely places and nurture dreams others dare not imagine. Together, let us break new grounds. Together, let us lift new voices. Let's build a nation where no dream is too small, where no girl is left behind, and no youth is denied of a future. If we must feed our nation, fuel our industries, and fortify our future, we must empower our young. We must invest in our girls. Girls, females make up more than 50% of every nation in the world. And we must lead with science. A nation that grows her soils without growing her people will harvest hunger. But a nation that nurtures minds alongside its fields will reap sustainable prosperity. Recommendations. Rather than ingest toxic agrochemical residues from food, eat some weevils. Slap somebody a high five and say, eat some weevils. This is a call on the federal government of Nigeria to enact the policy that all university lecturers must possess a teaching qualification. 3, dear visitor, kindly institute valedictory lectures. Professor Bernard Awakalu is the only academic in this university who has given a valedictory lecture. People retire and just go away. Tell us your experiences. Let our young people learn from you. Let the young academics come in. Let them be initiated into the academic culture. It's only valedictory lectures that do that. Lecture series to preserve the fast eroding academic tradition and intellectualism and curb the decay setting in the system. Dear visitor, I used to belong to a committee, deviation from intellectualism. I plead that committee be revived. Dear visitor, a request is coming to your table for a parcel of land for cultivation of lemongrass and other plants for essential oil generation. We need to diversify our income. Formation of a branch of the not-for-profit environmental working group to conduct research and advocacy for public health and environmental protection. The economic condition, dear visitor, you will agree with me. We need to revise upward the inaugural lecture mobilization fund. And we need to pursue third fund awarding grants to inaugural lecturers. Then, of course, we need to publish JOSTUM inaugural lecture series on our university website. We need to publish them there and have them registered in the National Library of Nigeria. Acknowledgements. No journey of trailblazing or change is ever walked alone. I didn't walk this journey alone. As I conclude this lecture, I must pause to express my profound gratitude to those whose hands, whose hearts, whose voices and lives have shaped my path. First, I acknowledge the master tapestry weaver, the Almighty God, my source of wisdom, strength, energy, inspiration. Without his grace and mercy, none of this would have been possible. Many people say you have so much energy. It is God. Somebody say, yes, we know say na God, but what else? I say nothing else. Except if you think say I dey smoke igbo. I acknowledge my late father, Yusuf Amodu, who ignited this fire. The fire to stand up and stand out. Mind you, my father meant well. The fire to fight till something good happens. If not that is mindset, the fighter in me would not have come to the fore. The fire to put them wrong and lead change. It was my father who planted that seed and ignited the fire. This fire to strive to be the best in all that I do. I remember how I pulled out all my hair in agony as I wept in the car between Nsukka and Otukpo when I was told that my father died. I loved him so much. He ignited the fire in me. I thank my late mother, Amina Yusufu, whom we, her first 3 children, called by her first name. That was what we heard Baba call her. Amina. So we were calling her Amina. For a long time until our aunt visited us from the village and gave us the bashing of our lives. And we were calling our mother by her first name. Mama was a genius. If she was educated, she would have been the Marie Curie of our time. As I stand here today, I do so with gratitude to all who have walked this journey with me. My colleagues, my students, my family, my mentors, and my community. I do so with humility, knowing that the road ahead is still long. And I do so with hope, convinced that the seeds we have planted in agrochemical research, in young girls' aspirations, in youth entrepreneurship, and in national conversations, we grow into forests that will impact our lives. To my family who have been my anchor, your patience, your encouragement, and unwavering belief in me have been my greatest support system. This lecture is as much your own as it is mine. To my dear husband, Dr. Emmanuel Okechukwu Nnamonu, You have been so much. You have given me the wings to fly. I am grateful. Thank you. He has allowed and encouraged me to dream boldly. He has allowed and encouraged me to serve selflessly. He will say, don't you have any program in CPS? When we were CPS this weekend. And to our wonderful children who have always been the wind in my sails. Dr. Anita, she's in the UK. Engineer Jack, Kevin, is also in the UK. Pharmacist Nkoli Lillian, she's in Abuja, but she's unable to come because of her work schedules. Engineer Omega Samuel and Waila in the UK. And Kesha Chik and Nnamonu. You are truly the best set of people anyone can ask for. I have a confession to make. Hello? There is a special group of young people in this university. Without this gathering, this event would not have been possible. I say this devoid of any sentiments whatsoever. These young people have proven that when the intellectual power of 13 young people are crystallized, 100 adults cannot stand them. I deeply acknowledge, it was when I came here I saw a lot of things for the first time. I deeply acknowledge, next to my nuclear family, the Professor Lami Nnamonu Inaugural Lecture Logistics Crack Team, which I call the Awesome 13, led by the German machine, Associate Professor Christopher Oche Eche. Please stand up if you are among the Awesome 13. That man is a friend that sticks closer than a brother. Members of this team are Emmanuel Ijogo, Godfrey Armstrong Ataguba, Sophia Dosu Kwazan, Nnamonu Williams Adejo, Joy Akondufe Owoicho, Emmanuel Okpanachi, John Igba, Bernadette Oge Ozide, Collins Igba Do, George Onu Ubeda, the judge of many things, Uche Michael, and Alexander Ivambe. You made this happen. May God make great things to happen continuously in your lives. My siblings, Danjuma Amadu Yusufu, please stand up and be recognized. Talatu Jenebu Akowe, these are my blood brothers and sisters. Ali and their spouses and children. To my nephews and nieces, whose parents would have been here if their parents were alive. Ojo Chidi Abdul Salam, stand up. Nuhu, stand up. My wonderful nieces and nephews. Nuhu, Abdul Salam, Abdul Tenimo, Umi Fatima Hafiz, and Ismail Muhammad. Treasure, time, and talent Yakubu. If their parents were alive, they would have been here as well. The Nnamonu family, from Big Daddy Silas C. Nnamonu. Mama Consultant, Patience Nnamonu, our number one. Dr. Ijeoma Jane Anyalechi, she's in Canada. You still make me forget the rain. Medical Superintendent Chinwe Kate Uchendu. She flew in from Canada day before yesterday. She said she must be at this inaugural lecture. Consultant Surgeon Dr. Mike Ike in USA and Engineer Uche Alexander in Calgary. Chukwu Dito, Chukwu Barrister Chinenye, Olu Chukwu and their mother Wando Nnamonu. To my twinsy, Ruth Osayere Okundaye, Daddy Texas Paul Okundaye, Isoken, all in Texas, and Naval Officer Ehosa Okundaye. To my teachers and mentors who ignited my love for chemistry and nurtured my academic growth, Professor Kirian Ekmenyon, he's in Houston. Professor Ekwenchi is in Jos, both retired. Professor T. Shambe, retired. Professor Vincent Agwada of blessed memory. Dr. Nkemdili N. Mpa of blessed memory. Your guidance lead the path I now walk as Nigeria's first professor of agrochemistry. I owe a debt of gratitude to my supervisors in England, Professor Anne-Marie O'Donoghue and Professor Richard Hodgson of Durham University, where I carried out my PhD research, working as a research fellow. Then Professor Rob Edwards of Newcastle University. In fact, one of my students is in Newcastle University now, Mercy Adagai Agbo. She's doing her PhD, all expenses paid, in environmental engineering in Newcastle University, in whose labs I did my postdoctoral fellowship, also as a research fellow. Thank you to His Royal Highness Totif V, J.O.I. Yasebera Otif, the man who incurably believes in merit and does not subscribe to mediocrity. He gave me the Uni-Agric job on account of my perfect CGPA of 5.0, creating the platform to trailblaze agrochemistry and lead change. Thank you to Professor Emeritus Ike Naonyido, the luminary father of agrochemistry and agrochemical technology. Prof and his wife, Mrs. Obioma Onyido, would always introduce me as a member of their family, even when I was still a student. Wow. Professor Emmanuel Yonumbe Kucha, he fiercely believes in me. Professor Hyacinth Oluma, whose radical nomination of that lady who made 5.0 CGPA for Commonwealth Scholarship in protest against mediocrity, concretized the agrochemical dream. Professor Richard A. Kimby, who discovered that I am laminated. Professor Paul A. Anune, a God-fearing and excellent gentleman, and late Mr. Ozowa. I thank Professor Bernard Awakalu, Babasi Pes, who put the original team together. This institution has been both my workplace and my home, and I am deeply honored to contribute to his legacy. I thank the immediate past president of Shlom Major Foundation Faculty for the picture, Rosalind Chappell. I communicated with her yesterday. I believe she's watching. For her wholesome, kind-hearted commitment to the cause of women in STEM. Gerard Matilozo. Gerard believes in me. He says, Lami, you can sell ice in Norway. Capella Festa, Eve Mion, Regina Han, Valerie Edozen Wogu, and Mimi Aseye Notsuga, who displayed no lesser commitment. I thank Professor Rufus Shatu, who responded, it's an honor for me. When I requested him to kindly play the role today, that role, mind you, is not about reading of citation. It is about presentation of the inaugural lecturer. And he did it. He agreed. God bless you, Professor R. Shatu. To the National Director of all Special Projects at the AUC and National Coordinator of the Special Project, my beloved brother, Dr. Joshua Alewata, and his amiable wife, my little sister, Monica. To the awesome team at the JOSTUM World Bank Center of Excellence. Indeed, teamwork makes the dream work. I sincerely appreciate Professor Bernard Kalu. And also appreciate my closest colleagues on the block, Mrs. Ada Precious Oguche, who typed preliminary pages of this work, and Mrs. Esther Ijo and Jimmy Bese. To my colleagues at Joseph Sarwuan Tarka University Makodi, and across the academic community, especially Mrs. Patricia Yohimen. That lady, our non-teaching academic staff, she sought me out, fought, and came and gave me money. She was the first person who contributed to the organization of this inaugural lecture. Patricia Yohimen. If you are you here? Stand up, please. Professor Monica Ataye, Professor Amana Onekutu, Professor Sesu Ande, Patricia, Dr. Obina Ofegu, Dr. Motola Fayomi, Dr. Samson Umo, Prof. Christobel Amua, and Veronica Jume Ojogbane, and others too numerous to mention. I didn't want to mention my colleagues because I say, who will I mention, who will I leave? I want to thank you all, Senate members, for your collaboration, for your encouragement, for your commitment to innovation on service. All of you, if I type all your name here, we'll stay here till 6 p.m. That's why I didn't put all your names. I appreciate my colleagues from neighboring universities, Professor Edward A. Omudu, Professor Omsu Kembe, Professor Charity Angia. It was during her, she was the one who gave me the employment to do my part-time and visiting in BSU until I stopped. Professor Nancy Agbe, Professor Romanus Ezekonko, Professor S.T. Ubwa, acting VC of the university today. Elder Dr. Joseph Antio, our Babahega Institute for Benue. He would take me to go and teach MCAS students, time management and organization at IHU. Dr. Ogai Kirigwe, as a point of contact to other academics I engage with. Felix Okiem and my external exam, Professor Elizabeth Waiguse, our Mama Yad, and my vicar, Venerable Professor Timothy. To students and alumni of this university who have walked the streets with me in rallies, they have stood with me engaging with farmers. They've reached market petty traders with demystified chemical facts, distributed flyers with me to agrochemical dealers across the north central states. They have run along on campus enlightenment campaigns and made themselves teachable. I cannot thank you enough. To my students, past and present, you are the heartbeat of my career. Some people were taking photos with me outside and driving my students away. I said, no, my students are more important to me. Today, I'm celebrating my students. From St. Anne's Secondary School, where I did youth service, Otukpo, to the Government Secondary School, Otukpo, through College of Education, Oju, to the Federal University of Agriculture, and now JOSTUM. Dr. Emmanuel Ejembi in Australia, Engineer Ogomola Okibe, my son, Engineer Nchegwa, Ochankpa Adigba, Jeremiah Okpenge, Apostle Michael Orokpo, Mercy Agboada, Guy Catherine Ode Cornelius. She is also in the US doing her PhD. Accord Solomon, Ogidi Adams, Henry Teima Andohemba. He came all the way from Owerri to witness this inaugural lecture. He was my 400 level student. Nathaniel Yakubu, Dr. Nnemeka Hegwagu, Tabitha Ande, Bienchit Longbab, and Dr. Happiness Todo. To mention only a few. Your curiosity fuels my teaching. Your creativity enriches my research, and your achievements give meaning to my work. To the Enactors JOSTUM team, my companions of 17 years, Many of them are writing exams. If not, they would all have been here. I'm so proud of what you have become. Champions. You have become champions of change. Ambassadors of innovation. Representatives of Nigeria at the World Cup in Astana and now in Hong Kong. You embody the legacy I hope to leave. My special friends, Dr. Anyalewa Ajonye, Dr. Helen Amina Owoicho, Mary Idoko, Patricia Aguna in Pennsylvania, Ekaite Bishop Eileen Egbuna, Dr. Christiana I. Agi. Friends like you are few and far between. I celebrate every girl. I celebrate every woman who has ever said to me, I want to be like you. And to the glory of God, I hear that a lot. To every female who has said, pray for me, lay hands on me, I need this mantle. And many of them have done that. To every female who has been secretly or openly inspired by me. To every youth who has come under my counsel and been positively affected. To all board members of gifts. Especially my celebrity, Dr. Olubushola Eshiet. Also my accountability body. And her husband, Bro Emmanuel Eshiet, who gave me a second home in UK. And Bernadette Oge Chiozide. To all girls in primary and secondary schools across Benue State who have received the Lami Nnamonu prizes, I celebrate you. To my younger colleagues across Nigerian universities, Dr. Patience Wombo, Dr. Hepzibah Obekpa, these are just typified of my younger ones. To the American Chemical Society JOSTUM students, current and alumni. To our worthy pioneering ACS ambassadors, Joshua Imanche, Blessing Ayo Abiodu, and Godwin Ochola, all of them are pursuing their PhD in USA right now. Professor Joshua Obaleye of Unilorin, Edwinam, and Dr. Thompson Izuage, we set up ACS Nigeria together, my ACS family. Thank you. To my partners in advocacy, NWISTEM and FFTF workshop anchors, particularly those who have worked with me in the recruitment, retention, and progression of girls into STEM. Professor Habibat Faith Chahu, she's here. Professor Folashade Olajuigbe, Professor Sarah to Stephen Audu, Mercy Agboadagai, Catherine Cornelius Ode, Dr. Winifred Ukpoko, Engineer Dr. Comfort Adadu, who is the DG of our Benue BPP, Dr. Chisa Ogbaja, Professor Patience Onekutu, Professor Elizabeth Kembe, and of course, your dedication has shown that change is possible when we invest in our daughters. And finally, to this distinguished audience, for honoring me with your esteemed presence, physical and virtual, your listening ear, and your open heart, I thank you. May the seeds of knowledge that we plant together today blossom into well-manicured forests of transformation for generations to come. God bless you. God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
Testify more than my mind can comprehend. See, I see the wonders of your grace. I'm so sure
that this is not the end.
See how far I brought. I'm so glad you found me worthy. I can see, I can tell, and I know it's your grace all my days. I will sing your praise.
Dear VC, sir.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the support. You may be seated. Without wasting your time, the Vice Chancellor is already out here on stage, and he'll be presenting the souvenir, the medallion, to the inaugural professor, after which she shall stand inaugurated. Thank you very much.
The Almighty God will continue to prosper your ministries, and it will take you higher day by day in Jesus' name.
Did you know you can never be lonely when you take the hottest entertainment and lifestyle companion with you? I bet you don't. Log on now to www.NigerHotStars.com.
It's DJ Beto.
Tell you say you can never be the one, but God say, make I tell you say now you him choose in 1 month, in 1 week, you will sing a new song in 2 days, lesser than you will hear. Congratulations, you're in the glory of God. Congratulations, He has done it for you. And you will come back with a new song to sing. God is good. Yes, you will come again with a new song of praise. God is good. Oh, congratulations. 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 Say what the Lord has done for you. Congratulations. God is good. Them say that I can never be all that I see. I've seen that God is greater than that. Who can battle with the Lord? Nobody. Who can change His mind around? Too many years, too many ways, I have seen His faithfulness ever and ever. Yeah. Congratulations, I have seen the glory of God. Congratulations, He has done it for me, and I have come back with a new song to sing. My God is good. Yes, I will come again with a new song of praise. My God is good. Oh, congratulations.
One time, say. Okay, so you must say, come on. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Yeah, can you feel it? Hold on. Can you feel it? Hold on, come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Great audience for all the support. Today we know that whatever is worth doing well. And so the university has produced the 81st inaugural lecture, who now stands inaugurated and in a very wonderful lecture that has taught us so much about the place of chemicals and the food we eat. I understand today that when I go to buy beans, I have to buy those ones with live weevils, which is a sign that it's healthy for them and for me. Please, once again, let's appreciate this great woman. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Without wasting further time, may I invite the registrar of the university for the vote of thanks. Please, let's appreciate him.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, the Vice Chancellor, and other principal officers, the distinguished senators of JOSTUM, made up of the deans of colleges, the heads of departments, professors on campus, and directors of centers, the general staff of the university, the great Makodians, the respected VIP here present. We want to first of all appreciate the Almighty God for making today's lecture a very successful one. From the beginning to the end, no issue. It's God that guided, it's God that saw us through to the very end, and we appreciate him. We equally want to appreciate the husband of the 81st inaugural lecturer of JOSTUM, a medical doctor, a seasoned citizen of Nigeria, Dr. Nnamonu, who has agreed and led the long delegation of the family to grace the occasion in solidarity with their wife and their mother. So, sir, thank you for being here live and direct. We want to appreciate the leader of JOSTUM Women Association, Mrs. Grace Itodo, and her entourage, including Mrs. Ogungolu, wife of the former acting Vice Chancellor of this university. We equally appreciate Dr. Joshua Atta, a director in NUC, and who happens also to coordinate the SPECI nationwide. Dr. Atta, God bless you for being here. We thank Chris Meyakin, who has decided not to be on the high table, but is here, a former acting secretary, executive secretary of NUC. For gracing this occasion, we say God bless you. We thank our former vice chancellors, talking about Engineer Professor Kucha, Professor Richard Kimbi, for graciously being part of the audience today. Thank you for coming. It's a home, it's a place that you have contributed enormously. So your being here is not surprising at all. Thank you. We equally appreciate Reverend Dr. Joseph Antio, who took the opening prayer. It opened the floodgate of the success of today's journey. Thank you for that. We equally appreciate the presence of Acting Vice Chancellor of Benue State University now, Moses Ushio Adasu University Makodi, Professor Simon Ubwa. Thank you for doing a solidarity visit to here to attend today's lecture. We also thank Professor Moses Kembe, former Vice Chancellor of BSU as well, who is also here. We appreciate Professor Mrs. Charit Angia, who is with us. Mommy, thank you for being here. God bless you. We are equally appreciative of very Reverend Anchola, leader of the delegation of the Anglican Diocese, all the way from Utukpo to grace today's ceremony. We are also thankful to the permanent secretary in charge of establishment matters, who came all the way from Nasarawa State, Lafia, Professor Mrs. Fula Shade, for your presence here. We appreciate. She came all the way from the Federal University of Technology, Akure. We thank and commend the presence of Honorable Tewase Obunde, former Chief of Staff to the governor, to the former governor, for your presence. We are equally grateful to the chairman and members of the Central Planning Committee of this lecture for their efficient planning of the lecture. CPC and chairman of Lecture Series Committee, Inaugural and Public Lecture, thank you for the wonderful work that you are doing. The Department of Environmental Sustainability is also grateful to the citation reader, the profile presenter, Professor Richard Rufus Shato. He handled it in a matured way. If not for how he handled it, if it were for a baby professor or a younger academic, 1 hour wouldn't have been enough for him to present what he has put together in a concise manner. So, Prof, thank you for the matured way you handled that presentation. Then the department is also grateful to the staff, students and members of the public who, out of love, have decided to grace today's ceremony. We are also thankful to the Case Arise Media for your professionalism in the coverage of the event. Then finally, the lecture today, as you can see, is in a class of its own. Very unique. The uniqueness stems from the fact that the lecture was highly informational, multi-dimensionally motivational, and at the same time intellectually thought-provoking, especially when you take a cursory look at the 7-point recommendations by the lecturer. So today, once again, JOSTUM is proud to showcase one of its best. I recall briefly that the pioneer vice chancellor of this university, Professor Francis Suleimani Idachaba, in his autobiography, No Easy Harvest, stated that there are no sustainable shortcuts to success in life. The lady who presented the 81st inaugural lecture of the university did not take any shortcut. And that is why the success is overwhelming. And that is why she has presented very eloquently and in a manner that all has benefited from the lecture. So on that note, I want to say thank you and God bless you for coming.
Thank you, sir. We're most grateful to this erudite scholar himself, the man of letters, the registrar of the university. Please, if you wouldn't mind, audience, let's appreciate him once again. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we are drawing to a close here. As I said earlier, we've handled events here with dispatch, and now we are at the rear of this gathering. And before we go, may I inform us that while the lecture was on, a former Vice Chancellor, University of Nkara, did arrive. She is Professor Nancy Agbe. You're welcome, ma'am. We thank God that you are able to make it to this place. The Vice Chancellor, the entire university community appreciates you. I remain Wilfred Massey Martins Nyaju in the aforementioned directorate. God bless you all. On this note, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to once again invite the man of God to the podium, Elder Dr. Joseph Antio, for the closing prayer. Thank you very much. Let's appreciate him.
Chancellor, all protocols duly observed. Permit me to just say one thing. Professor is an international faculty of Haggai Institute. It's a leadership training that trains leaders. So when we were telling her to prepare to take a seminar in November, she was pleading that she is so busy. I can now understand what that means. Because in April, she couldn't facilitate, and November, she's still very busy. But I want to announce to you that we're having a national training seminar for strategically positioned leaders. Professor Charity Anga is our training director. So I invite you to meet her, meet Professor Nnamonu if you want to be trained. Thank you very much. Let's pray. Our Father and our God, we want to thank you for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you, Father, Lord, because we had prayed at the beginning that you should give our professor the tongue of the learned. And Father, Lord, you have answered our prayer. We want to thank you because this is an outstanding performance. We want to bless your name for this. Thank you for all the guests that have honored this lecture. We want to ask that as they go back, grant them safety of travels. You said you will be with our going out and our coming in. So let that word be fulfilled in each and every one of us. In Jesus' name, amen.
The anthems in reverse order. Sorry, may we remain standing.
To Nigeria, my country, to be faithful, loyal, and honest, to serve Nigeria with all my strength, to defend her unity and uphold her honor and glory. So help me God.
Nigeria, we hail thee, our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign motherland.
the conqueror, the champion, the lion is here.
Anumanu ko na da nan je chiro.
Zobu, zobu, master.